Hello, dear meditators and prospective meditators. Welcome back to my channel, The Science of Meditation. My name is Ravi. The purpose of this channel is to provide scientific knowledge about meditation so you can learn meditation scientifically and do it yourself to gain peace. So, in the last video, I had mentioned that I will provide details about the Eightfold Noble Path. So, let's get started with that today. So, this Eightfold Noble Path was taught by Gautam Buddha. For those of you who don't know Gautam Buddha, he was a great meditator and he attained enlightenment through observation. And he was the one who discovered this technique of vipassana, looking, and observation. We are already meditating to strengthen our inner mind, make our mind observatory. But if we are doing things outside that are not noble, not correct, then you will never be able to strengthen your meditation. This Eightfold Noble Path helps you to do the right things in life so that it actually supports your meditation, and then your meditation also supports your real doings in a better way. So let's look at this one. The first one says Samadhi or right view. So, right view is the knowledge about suffering, the arising of suffering, the cessation of suffering, the practice leading to the cessation of suffering. So, knowledge about suffering, I just explained how suffering happens, the arising of suffering, and the cessation of suffering. So, the arising of suffering, how it happens, I just explained. The cessation of suffering. The cessation can happen only if your reactive mind changes to observatory mind, and the practice leading to the cessation of suffering, right? Basically, meditating, and making your mind more and more observatory instead of reactive. So, this is what constitutes of the right. The next one is right thought. Right thought is basically thoughts of renunciation, goodwill, and non-violence. Renunciation doesn't mean that you will renounce the whole world and just go sit in meditation somewhere. Renunciation means renouncing negative thoughts, renouncing your anger, renouncing different other negativities that arise in you. And then thoughts of goodwill, thinking good about everyone, and the thoughts of non-violence. This is easy to understand. The third one is right speech. Right speech is refraining from false speech, malicious speech, rough speech, and frivolous talk. In this, I recently realized that I was actually talking to a friend. I'm used to talking to my friends and inquiring about their well being and what they are doing and other stuff. So, one of my friends actually was buying a house and he was asking me, why don't I buy another house and all that stuff? And we spoke about it about an hour. After we spoke about it, I felt that my heart was a little heavy with emotion. Then I sat for meditation and observed that it is heavy because a desire arose in me about buying the house. And I started craving for that ever since. This was actually a frivolous talk that I did. And then I realized I will never do frivolous talk again because this is what is also leading to suffering. False speech, we all know we should speak the truth always. Malicious speech is basically talking ill about someone. Rough speech is about talking roughly or rudely to another person. This is what is right speech. And then right action. Right action is basically refraining from killing living creatures, any living creatures, including insects. I know sometimes it becomes really difficult. Please try to follow this as much as possible in your real life. This will only better your meditation and your life. Second is taking what has not been given. Obviously, many a times we unknowingly or with ignorance just take someone's stuff and just go away, right? uh, we should not be doing that. And sexual misconduct, right? This is again easy to understand. Next up is right livelihood. Having given up wrong ways of livelihood and earning a living by a right way of livelihood. This is also very simple to understand and self explanatory as well. Next up is right endeavor. This one says generating desire for the non arising of bad and unwholesome thoughts. So let's Look at this with an example. For example, there's a student who's appearing for a big exam, and then this one says generating desire for the non-arising of bad and unwholesome thoughts. So that student always thinks, even before giving the exam, that what if I might fail? What happens? Oh, I might, disappoint my parents. This might happen. That might happen. So that is basically generating a desire for the non arising of bad and unwholesome thoughts. And he's saying that, this should not arise. Oh, such thought should not arise. Such thought should not arise always. So that's the problem. Second is to generating desire to give up bad and unwholesome thoughts that have arisen. So if thoughts like failure arise in the student's mind, he actually desires to actually give them, oh, I should not be generating, oh, I should not be generating. That is basically giving up the bad and unwholesome thoughts that have arisen. Third is for arising of wholesome thoughts. So the student actually thinks that, oh, I pass. What if I pass? My father would give me a motorcycle. Wow, that is so great. And he keeps on rolling in that desire, right? So that is basically generating desire for the arising of the wholesome thoughts. And the last one is generating desire for endurance of wholesome thoughts that have arisen. So basically, once he thinks about that, passing the exam and motorcycle, he keeps on repeating that, and he feels that, oh, this short thought should always be there in my mind so I can pass the exam. So right endeavor covers all these things. Basically, in general, generating desires actually leads to all these problems which we should not be having. So up until these six things, all of these are actually leading to right mindfulness, and then all of these seven lead to right concentration. So these are too deep, actually. I won't talk much about right mindfulness and right concentration in detail. I would just say the summary of this, because I think it gets into too much of technicality and too much of details, and also tells about completely giving up desires and focusing on a very saintly life, which is not my goal here. My goal is basically to enable you to lead a positive life, a life that in which you are not suffering from day to day activities and are able to focus on your work. As long as you are following the top six, and then trying to just keep your mind observatory, just leaving things, you should be fine in your real life. Still, if you want to read about right mindfulness and right concentration, I will leave links below that you can check out. One important thing is that whenever you feel your mind is not calm, if you look at one of these eight Four Noble Paths, you would have definitely violated one of the items. That's why you are actually not calm. In the example that I gave you about frivolous talk with my friend, that is how I realized that, I was doing frivolous talk, and that's why my heart is heavy. So, this is it today, my friends. May peace be with you. Please like, share, and subscribe this video. Thank you.